We're back here, and this is the Javelina Jundred presented by Hoka and the Feed Mountain Outpost YouTube channel. I'm Chris Warden.
I'm Andy Jones-Wilkins.
Our next guest is somebody who is no stranger to this race, having placed a very, very fine sixth place last year. Since then has actually had even more success in the trail and ultra running community. McKendree Hickory. McKendree, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First off, I want to say I followed your race at High Lonesome this year. Holy crap. Like, you had an absolutely amazing day, crushing the course record there. Congratulations on that. So you've got to be feeling pretty good heading into the race this year here at Javelina.
I am and I'm not, but I am. Overall, I'm really excited. Yeah, that race was an amazing day where it just, everything clicked, came together, and yeah, just like was unexpected, but truly just a phenomenal day. So definitely gave me some confidence going into the end of summer, that's for sure.
It's a different race than 5 loops across the desert. How has your life been since High Lonesome?
Yeah, a little chaotic. So yeah, a lot of people know, we had a house fire about 3 weeks ago, which was obviously a major disruption since then. So training was feeling good and looking good, and then life stopped pretty much. But thanks really, to encouragement of my husband and friends, people are like, don't give up on yourself. Like, it's worth it to show up still. So, yeah, I'm like genuinely so grateful to just literally be here right now. So life was good and it's been a little disruptive, but like so grateful to be here.
Well, is it fair to say though that yes, that's a disruption and it's probably not going to go away, but at least you get 72 hours to immerse yourself in this?
Totally, totally. And this, and immerse is like honestly how we've felt the past like number of weeks. This community has been absolutely unreal. Like within less than 24 hours, I had a pair of shoes, a pack, like our local running store, shout out our running store in Steamboat, and Nathan hooked it up so we could like keep running. But yes, I'm glad to just like be here and immersed in it for sure.
Fantastic.
So if you look at your recent race results, talking about things like Never Summer, High Lonesome, Continental Divide, one of them sticks out like a sore thumb, and that is the fact that you came down to the desert to run this race last year as well. It had, as we mentioned, a sixth place finish, I believe about 17 hours, give or take.
Yeah.
What brings you out here, or what brought you out to this race originally? Like, what made you think, I want to run this flatter desert race here at 2023's edition?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to put myself in a competitive field and see what I could do. I came up through road running, and so it was fun to like just try and get back and see kind of what a flatter course, like what I could do. And so yeah, it was just kind of, I think, an experiment, and it was my first 100 miler and wanted to try something, and I knew this was like such a party and a good environment. So, and I was hooked. It was kind of a no-brainer to come back this year.
Golden ticket on your mind?
It certainly is, for sure. I would love to at least like put myself in that running, and we'll see what happens, but I certainly know it's there and I'm excited to see what I can do.
Yeah, when it comes to that discussion, obviously you mentioned, and I didn't even realize that last year was your first 100-mile run.
Yeah.
For never having hit that distance before, you acquitted yourself extremely well. But in order to make that next step into the golden ticket discussion, you're going to have to level up.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if you can talk about how you've approached, and you knew that as well. This was not a surprise that if you're going to make those aspirations that you're going to have to prepare accordingly. How have you approached your training perhaps in the time since that maybe is different than the way you approached last year's race?
Yeah. Honestly, I think some of it's like starting to believe that that's possible. And so I think then showing up differently in like the daily runs and like kind of having a bit more of a mentality in that perspective. I am like a lower volume runner because that's just what my body can withstand. But also I think really trying to dial in more speed work, really focus on those like peak workouts and trying to do the best I can. And then I think it's the mental game of just knowing like it always hurts, but it's going to hurt worse than maybe expected, and just like knowing that's okay and kind of being willing to sit in that discomfort a little bit more.
Well, and the nice thing about Javelina is at least you come around here every 20 or so miles.
Totally.
And you can share in the discomfort a little bit with the crew. You talked about your community and especially the folks in Steamboat wrapping their arms around you as a result of the fire. Who's here on your team?
Yeah, I've got both my parents, both my step parents. I've got my husband here with me who's going to pace me that last lap. And it'll be, a fun party. We've got a couple other folks from Steamboat that we're sharing a tent with. And, should be a good time.
Parents, step parents.
Yeah, we got the whole party.
A bunch of people from Steamboat. Let's find this tent.
It's called Wings on Fire, pretty appropriately. You can find it probably pretty easily.
Well, Chris and I have spent the last couple of September's coming down to Steamboat, or up to Steamboat, to cover Run Rabbit Run, and it really is a wonderful community. I mean, it's obviously built on winter sports, but like the mountain biking and the running and just the culture there, and the way in which they invest in youth and sports and a healthy lifestyle, that it's not surprising that a community like that would come together in this case for you, and would actually want to kind of tag along. Some of them tag along to come down here and be part of the party in the desert.
Yeah, no, I mean, even Run Rabbit, like they posted on their Instagram, and people, we crewed the aid station at Billy's Rabbit Hole, and runners were given $10 to our fundraiser that we had helped out, and so the community's been unreal, and have never felt more a part of the trail community than I have right now.
That is awesome.
So the agony of being, say, 75 miles into High Lonesome, or the agony of being at 98 degrees out here in the weather in the desert, what feels better? What feels worse? What do you like?
Yeah,
more?
It's a good question. I've never been in this high of heat, so I'm very curious, but I'm a pretty good sweater, so I'm hopeful that will pay over. I mean, I think this is different because you're running the whole time. I feel like at High Lonesome 75, you're like, cool, let's power hike this out. But even that race is really runnable the last 30 miles, and Pacer was really good at saying just keep running. And so I think that's kind of the mentality of just stay in it and see what you can do.
I think the last couple of years as Javelina being a golden ticket race, it hasn't necessarily been a harbinger of good things to come at Javelina, but this year, or at Western States, but this year it will be.
Yeah.
Because it's going to reward somebody if they can handle the heat, but also if they can adapt and mitigate to it, and I think it's probably a smart approach to be like, I don't have a ton of experience in the heat, but if I just keep running, put one foot in front of the other, see what the day brings.
Yeah, totally. Run my own race. I feel like that's what I always have to do.
Are you a run your own race person more than say chase the pack, or don't let the rubber band get stretched too much? Or?
Yeah, I'm certainly aware of who's around me and where those distances are at, but I know if I get too wrapped up in what somebody else is doing, then I don't run smart, and I feel like that's running consistent and smart has been something I've always tried to do, so I try to stay in that mentality.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing because, having run this as your debut 100-miler last year, how did that shake out initially with the lead pack of women heading out from this race? Because if you're used to something that's Never Summer or High Lonesome, I'm sure that's an entirely different approach, especially early on. Out here, that front of the pack is going to be setting the pace, and they're going to be setting a blistering pace. Were you surprised? Were you okay, this is what I expected? Discuss what it was like, basically the first loop, and kind of seeing how everybody was kind of jockeying for position at that point.
Yeah, I knew it would go out hot last year. I knew with Heather, I was like, I'm not even going to try to hang out up there. Yeah, it's just let her do her thing, and I'll cheer from behind. But for me, it was my first. I wasn't expecting. I just was I don't know what this is going to feel like, so I'm just kind of open to the experience of it. And last year I had my crew not tell me the first 2 laps. I didn't want to know what position I was at. And then when I came in the third one, and I think I was in 7th at the time, I was like, okay, I'm, go time to turn it on. I unfortunately tore my calf at mile 65 last year and just kind of gritted it out. So I'm hopeful for that not to happen, and that could help improve long term.
These are things that I wish I knew when I was thinking about my preview predictions. It's oh my goodness, you finished 6th place and ran the last 35 miles on a torn calf?
I did. I don't recommend it. If that happens again, I don't know if I would do it again. But it was pretty brutal. But we did it and finished, and that was kind of the goal last year, was just to finish competitively and see what I could do.
So what are you rocking? What shoes you wearing? What I know maybe your friends in Steamboat sort of hooked you up.
Literally everything I'm wearing, pretty much somebody has gifted me. So thank you, Rabbit, for the shorts. Hoka, I've got the Mafates on. That's what I'll be in tomorrow. And I'm going to rock the Javelina shirt from last year. So
very good. Some good juju from that.
Totally.
Now I'm asking everybody, handhelds, vest, a little bit of both?
I'm going to go vest so I can utilize more ice packing in it, and then probably last lap we'll drop and do handhelds for the last lap.
Okay.
Yeah, just ice everywhere you can find a place for
yes,
it.
100%.
That's part of the success. McKendree, first of all, thanks for joining us, but also, like, it is inspiring to see you out here after dealing with some of the things that you and your family have had to overcome over the last few weeks. So best of luck to you, not only here out on the course here at Javelina, but with everything moving forward. We're rooting for you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, McKendree. Go get them.
Thank you.
McKendree, Hickory, folks. We'll be back with our next interview here shortly. And if unless I miss my guess, it's somebody who is no stranger to talking with us about running. This is the Javelina 100 presented by Hoka and the Feed on Mountain Outpost. We'll be back.